They tell you a man could lose his land by drought, or fire, or hail that shreds wheat like paper in a storm. But they don't tell you that a man could lose his land with nothing but ink on a piece of paper. That's how they get you now, with bills, with numbers you can't fight, with debt you never made, but somehow owe. I learned that the hard way. The letter came on a Tuesday, folded crisp, county seal stamped in the corner like a brand on cattle hide. My wife laid it on the table without opening it, and for a moment we just sat there, watching it, like it might sprout legs and walk across the linoleum by itself. Finally, she signed and tore it open. The number was bigger than last year, way bigger. $8,000 for property taxes alone. She stared at the paper, her lips moving silently, like she was trying to sound it out, like the number was in a language she didn't speak. Then she slid it across the table to me. I didn't even flinch, because I'd been waiting for it. 8,000, she whispered. We don't even make that much in a good harvest. I rubbed my forehead, tracing the lines that felt deeper each year. Doesn't matter what we make, they don't care. The kids were in the next room, playing with their worn-out cards and puzzle pieces. They didn't need to hear it, but the walls in these old houses don't keep secrets. My son wandered in, curious. What's wrong, he said. His mother forced a smile. Nothing, baby, just bills. He tilted his head. Like the bills Daddy burns in the stove? I almost laughed, but the sound caught in my throat. I wanted to tell him bills didn't burn that easy. Some of them get hotter the more you try to put them out. That evening, I drove over to check on James, a neighbor 3 miles down the gravel. His place was older than ours. His barn roof was sagging, and his hands were shaking from arthritis. He was on the porch, letter in hand. He didn't say hello. He just waved the paper at me like it was a snake he'd caught. They raised me 20%, he muttered. Roads not fixed, the school's closed, and they got the nerve to raise me 20%. I nodded. I didn't need to tell them that they'd raised me too. They want us gone, he said finally. His voice was low. That's what this is. Drive the taxes up, bleed us dry, until we're standing at auction just like the Petersons. He spat into the dust, and the spit sizzled like it landed on something hotter than the earth. The part that burned worse wasn't the number itself. It was the lie behind it. They said the taxes kept the county alive, paid for schools, for roads, for fire trucks, but our schoolhouse had been closed 2 winters back. Its windows boarded up, the bell tower stripped for scrap. The last road crew we saw was nearly a year ago, and that was just a grader skimming dust, not patching holes. When the Johnson place caught fire, the engine didn't even come. They said it wasn't worth the mileage. And by the time anyone showed up, the house was ash. And still the taxes climbed. It was like feeding a dead horse just to watch your grain disappear. At dinner, my wife barely touched her food. We can't pay it this year, she said finally. I chewed slow, swallowing hard. We'll find a way, I told her. She looked at me with that stare that cuts right through. Not angry, just tired. Bone deep tired. Find a way with what? The wheat barely covered fuel. The kids need boots, and winter's coming. I didn't answer, because I didn't have an answer. Later that night, I tucked my daughter into bed. She held her stuffed rabbit, threadbare and patched. Daddy, she whispered, are we going to have to move like the Peterson kids? The question stabbed deeper than any blade. No, I said too quickly. No, baby, we're staying. She searched my face like she didn't believe me. Then she turned over and held her rabbit tight. I sat there long after she fell asleep, just staring at the ceiling and listening to the wind scratch the siding, wondering if I had just lied to her. A week later, the county held a public hearing about taxes. We all gathered in the town hall, the walls smelling of mold and old varnish. The commissioner stood up front, tie too tight, sweat soaking his collar. He talked numbers, inflation, fiscal shortfalls. He said that the costs had gone up and that we all had to share the burden. From the back, Harold shouted, "What burden? You closed the school." The commissioner smile didn't falter. We're consolidating resources. It's more efficient. Efficient for who? I asked. The room stirred, voices rising. But it didn't matter. The decision was already made. We were just there to play our part, the angry farmer shouting while the banker ticked boxes behind the curtain. After the meeting, I drove past the Peterson place. The machines were running full tilt, lights bright against the night sky. They didn't slow, they didn't rest, they didn't falter. Perfect rows, perfect harvest. I pulled over and watched from the ditch. No human voices, no dogs barking, just the hum of motors and the glow of screens. The fields didn't need Peterson anymore. They didn't need anyone. And for the first time, I realized the taxes weren't just numbers. They were eviction notices, wrapped polite. The system didn't need us anymore. It only needed the land. That night, my wife and I lay in bed, the dark pressing down heavy. "What if we can't pay?" she asked softly. I didn't answer right away. My mind flicked through options like cards in a deck. Selling equipment, selling stock, borrowing from family that didn't have it to give. Finally, I whispered, "Then they'll take it." Then she said the words that I'd been dreading. "Maybe it's better if they do. Maybe it's time." That made my chest tighten. I couldn't breathe because part of me agreed and part of me hated her for saying it out loud. This was the year the taxes doubled and the year our hope was cut in half. It wasn't fire or flood or plague that drove us towards the edge. It was numbers. Numbers written by hands that never touched the soil, never felt the ache of bent backs or the sting of chaff in the wind. We weren't being asked to leave. We were being priced out of our existence. And the field stayed silent, humming with machines that never paid a dime in taxes, machines that never asked for boots for their children, never worried about supper tables or sleepless nights, just machines and numbers and the slow unraveling of everything human left in these hills.